Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and today I'd like to talk about taking a break. And I just got back from a vacation not too long ago, and it's something that I've learned that if I don't do it at least once a year, I will feel negative impact. If I do it, I will definitely feel a positive impact. And I think that a lot of times we find ourselves striving for things, working hard, struggling, getting stuck in the day to day, check to check, rat race, rut, whatever you want to call it. And the truth is, even if you have to make a sacrifice, I believe that there are tremendous health benefits to taking a break, stopping for a little while, and relaxing and getting yourself out of the normal habits, the normal structure, the normal workload, all the things that we normally do. I think over time, start to wear away at our peace, at our joy, at our happiness, even if we think we enjoy the things we do. Like, for example, I run the Gardens of Hope, a little botanical garden, and little farm out here in Southern California, and I love it. I love this property. I love being here. I wake up every morning at dawn. I can't wait to get outside. I love, since I beat the cancer, I love working. I love working hard. I love getting my strength back. I love dealing with the people that are coming out here to get healing benefits. I love the retreats. I love the medicine. I love the sweat lodges, all of it. I love it. But there's a constant level of, I don't know if I'd call it stress, but yeah, on some level, it's a stressor that, at any minute somebody could come over. I've got to keep the place looking to a certain standard. I've got a wife who's always very sensitive to these things, how everything looks. I can only do so much of any one thing at any given time because I got to be able to clean it up because somebody may be coming over. And that's just one of many deals. I love my Willow Creek Springs business where I manufacture, I formulate, I make natural skincare products, natural remedies. I love that. I love working with clients. But, sometimes we'll get more business than we can deal with. And it's just me and my wife right now. And, sometimes that can become stressful. Sometimes we don't get enough business and the bills aren't getting paid, whatever. There's a million reasons why that day-to-day grind, even of something that you love, been self-employed most of my life, the last more than 20 years. And as much as I love it, I love the work I do, there's a level of stress to being responsible for everything, to being the only one that if anything goes wrong, you can deal with, that can deal with it. You don't get to just go, well, the next shift will take care of it or the boss will deal with it or whatever. And so I just want to talk a little bit today about the health benefits of taking a break. And we've talked about offering a reset retreat at Gardens of Hope. We're working on that. And the idea is going to be to unplug from your electronic devices, come out here for a weekend and do some things you don't normally do, see some things you don't normally see, different experiences. I think that's a big part of it. So let's just walk through a little bit of this. I think the first obvious health benefit is you're going to reduce your stress by taking time to relax and recharge. You're going to get more rest, more sleep. You don't have anything you have to do on a true vacation. You're going to sleep better because you're not stuck having to get that report done for tomorrow. You don't have to think about the things that are coming. Maybe you're a little excited about, what you're going to do tomorrow, but at the end of the day, you can rest. You can sit in a hammock in the middle of the day, take a nap, those kind of things. And the reduced stress is definitely a health benefit. Another thing that maybe you think about or maybe you don't is you get a better mood. As much as, again, we may enjoy our job, there's this level of you got to be in a certain way, you got to think a certain way, you got to behave a certain way. And true happiness, true satisfaction, true joy, I think generally comes when you don't have the pressure, when you can kind of do what you want. You want to go out and get something to eat. You want to sit by a stream. You want to go on a little day trip. You want to, whatever it is you want to do. You want to go shopping. You want to take a hike, whatever. You can do it. And I think it definitely brings a better mood. And I think that that is healthy. I think as we find our mood, our demeanor, our the way we carry ourselves, I think it affects our health more than we would give it credit for. I think people that are generally sunny and positive are generally more healthy, and people that are generally dark and negative are generally less healthy. That's just my observation. Maybe it's not true, but it's what I've seen. Focus. I think what I've noticed, especially for me, is, I'm a Gemini. I'm always juggling a million things. I write stuff down, then I forget where I put it, and I keep track of things, on paper for a while, and then I'd stop. And I got a good brain enough, the chemo messed me up a bit, but it's coming back, and I'm generally able to manage all of my things that I need to do in my head. And over time, you lose your focus. You get too many things going on, you forget a thing. And I don't know how many things I've forgotten since the cancer, but you go, shit, how did I forget that? How didn't I think about that? Or you're sitting there, somebody's talking to you and you lose track. And what was that you said again? I know when I come back from my vacation, I am crystal clear. I feel like I'm locked in. I can be very mindful and present with what I'm doing. And definitely, I think it's been a benefit to my focus. Creativity, I think, again, creative people, writers and artists, and writers maybe especially, you get going into a groove and you're writing along and all of a sudden, you've been doing that thing for too long and you just get stuck and you just can't seem to pull yourself out of it. And I just know that, taking time away for me, it's getting to the water, getting to a lake, a stream, catching a fish or two, just hearing, feeling the water, whether it's the ocean or the fresh water. I know that it does something in my brain. It wipes it clear. The things that keep me from being creative, I think it clears that away. And that's simple mental health benefits. Those are just straight up without really going too deep. I think physically in that venue, I think your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, I think they drop because of your better improved mood. It's easy to be happy when you're in the place you want to be, wherever that is, doing the things you want to do, whatever they may be. I think you have definitely a decreased risk of depression. So when you're stuck in your work grind, and a lot of people get overwhelmed, depressed over things they can't control, but they need to deal with. And I think there's a whole lot less of that. I think you get better sleep. It's not just the amount of sleep or how easy it is, but I think you sleep deeper. I think you can let yourself go to rest better. And the length of time that you are on vacation definitely matters. I know the one time in my life I took a 2 week vacation in the same place. It wasn't until after the first 5 days, I think, that I really was able to completely let go and get into another level of relaxation. I remember that second week was just a whole nother level, and I had never experienced anything like that before or since. And I definitely aspire to do that again. As I'm getting older, I'm certainly going, it's probably a good time for me to take a 2 week vacation, but life has its reasons. These are all things that I think definitely affect your mental health. Into your physical health, I think we can just start knocking off a pretty big list. Regular time off can help lower the risk of heart-related problems. The chronic stress that we live in contributes heavily to cardiovascular issues. And when you just let that stress go by, I think it definitely decreases the likelihood of an episode like that. Once again, you get into the sleep and all the sleep related issues. Improve physical activity. A lot of times, what happens is when we are taking a break, we get out there and do more. You hike, you swim, you play volleyball, whatever it is that you do, you find yourself, instead of doing that grind, that normal thing, man, then maybe, you normally go to the gym and get your workout, but it's a different thing when you're playing, when you're relaxing, when you're swimming, snorkeling, hiking, kayaking, whatever it is that you're doing that's physical. I think you do it in a different way. You do it with some joy, you do it with some enthusiasm. Maybe you push yourself a little bit more and you enjoy it. So there's definitely a benefit to increasing your physical activity as a result of time off. I think that muscle tension is something that comes from the day-to-day grind. You come home and your back's all sore and kinked, your neck's all knotted. Maybe a massage helps, maybe a steam helps, maybe a drink or some pot or some drugs or whatever it is you do helps. But the truth is, just laying around, having a good conversation, reading a book or a magazine, just watching the waves, whatever it is you're doing, definitely causes that muscle tension to go away, or at least reduce. I think that's definitely a health benefit. I think that the mental benefit to a vacation is probably the most marked. We talked a little bit about it, but I think it increases or improves your memory, because I think our memory is connected to how many things we're trying to manage, like a computer and RAM and how many windows you have open, and you can remember things, but the more things you're trying to juggle, it turns out your brain can only do one thing at a time, so it's going back and forth and back and forth. You get on vacation and you're thinking about fewer things. you're dealing with fewer things. And I don't know. I think it definitely, it's like the old-fashioned defrag and wiping your files clean and restructuring things, giving yourself a chance to free up junk space and let it be more valuable again. I think along with creativity being improved, I think you also improve your problem solving skills.
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber only episodes that we offer to the supporters. And for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
I think that creativity and problem solving are very related, but it's a practical application. So I know there's been times when I've taken time off, and there's always things we struggle with. A formula, a problem that just doesn't seem like it has an easy answer. And then all of a sudden, after a couple of days off, you're like, there it is. You just turn it this way or add that to it or whatever it is. So that's definitely I think it definitely a benefit is your problem solving skills get better. There's social benefits. I think relationships do better when you get time off, and it could be either way, whether it's taking time from the relationship or taking time with the relationship. If you take a vacation with your spouse or your significant other, or whoever it is that you're close to, I think you can certainly bond, get to know each other better, explore some new things, wake up some elements of your life that might have been sleeping or resting. If you've been struggling a little bit, or maybe you've seen each other too much, maybe taking a vacation from each other is going to cause you some good, just to maybe appreciate each other a little better, remembering the value that they bring in your life and the joys that they bring. I think that when you take a break from work, especially in a setting where you're working with other people and you come back, I think you are more likely to want to work together better. And I think that it spending too much time with the same people doing the same things, I think is not beneficial to a team environment or collaborative environment. I think when you cycle back and forth and work together and then spend time off, I think you do better. And I suppose there's ways to quantify that, but just an observation at this point. I think that your overall life satisfaction increases when you take time off. We look at our life and our health and we say, well, I can quantify certain things. I can do blood work. I can do stress tests. I can look at my numbers of things and say that I'm healthy or not, my weight, my vital signs, all those things, my vision, my hearing, all the things that you can measure. But then there's just this quality of life. I feel good. I feel like life is great. Now, I've had an example where I almost lost my life to cancer, and so having my life back has definitely increased my life satisfaction. I'm happy every morning I wake up. I got another day to live. So that's another way to go looking at it. Certainly not something I would recommend for most people. I think personal growth improves. You get time to think about your big goals, your big picture a little bit. You can look and take some time and do a little reverie and look back on where you've come, how far you've come, obstacle you've overcome. I think another thing that you can look at is creating memories and sharing experiences, engaging in adventures. I think there's something so special about that. I just recently took my 4-year-old grandson, Xavier, up to the Eastern Sierras for his first time. And I said, we're going to have an adventure. And I can remember at about 4 years old, my dad took me fishing for the first time at a little city lake out by Rosemead. And I can remember catching that first fish, a little bluegill. I can remember the Uno candy bar that we shared. I can remember the soda. I never had that stuff generally. Remember just sitting there in a little lattice weaved beach chair with my dad and just spending that time. 4 friggin' years old. I remember that. Well, I was able to take this kid out on a lake, on a boat, take him to a bunch of new places, see new things. And I know that, it was a lot for him. And, he missed his mom every now and again. But this kid had an adventure, and I was able to share that. And it was amazing. And I think that, me and my wife, we've gone and seen new places and experience things that we wouldn't normally do, even in our beautiful little paradise where we live. Going to another place where the wonder of nature and you know what you might find, you might hear, you might see. I think you prevent burnout by taking these breaks. There's nothing worse than somebody who has a career, a life's path built on a joy, a talent, something that, you do very well. And then after a while, you're just like, God dang it, I don't want to do this anymore. And you think to yourself, what happened? I used to get so much joy. Musicians get it. My daughter's accomplished classical flamenco guitarist, and, she was out there making money playing gigs. And then one day she's like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I was like, what the hell? If I had that kind of talent, that's all I would ever do. Writers stop writing, singers stop singing, athletes stop, playing their sport. They get burned out. I don't want to do this anymore. And I think just taking a break can help you to reset that enthusiasm, that spark, that passion for the thing that you do and love. And I think that's a good thing. There's a thing called joyful anticipation. And this is something that I've talked about in the past. I call it the vitamin J, but the anticipation part of it, I think, is powerful and healing and restorative. And when you have a vacation coming up, you start thinking about it. You start, oh, there's a time about a week ahead of time where I go and I get my fishing license and I go through my gear and I stock up on things I'm low on or get something new if I need it. There's a little excitement about it. Getting in the car, packing up, getting all the food in your ice chest, or thinking about where we're gonna go to eat or what we're gonna eat, where we're gonna go. There's that anticipation, kind of like a little kid before Christmas, you just can't wait. There's something just super restorative and healing about that. I don't think we get enough of that. We don't have enough things to look forward to anymore. And I think a vacation can be full of that. So I think to wrap up this thought, I just want, and it doesn't have to be traveling far. It doesn't have to be for weeks or months. It could be a day or 2 days, but getting away, something else, change of pace, change of scenery. I don't think it's just a luxurious indulgence. I think they're vital for maintaining health and well-being. I think it reduces stress, improves mental health, helps to foster personal growth, makes relationships better. I just think that the benefits of taking a vacation so far outweigh the cost and the detriments that I would say do it. Prioritize that vacation. You're going to end up with a more balanced, fulfilled, and healthier life. And, I'll be paying off this vacation probably in the next couple of months, and who cares? I feel good doing it, and I just am so glad that I had the good sense to get the heck out of town for a few days, and I encourage you to do the same. Well, this has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and I want to thank all of our listeners for making this show possible, and we will see you next time.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.